This market has a lot of people wondering what the next move is, and honestly, I wouldn't fault you for thinking there could be a market correction to the downside or a rip to the upside. In this video, I'm going to go over my thesis on why I do think it is more leaning towards the upside, despite some signals in the market and some big sell-offs that could be indicating that we are in for a market dip. So in this video, I'm going to go over all the data and all the reasoning behind this, as well as the projects and the altcoins that I am lining up my money into. And also we got some big news today on an upcoming protocol launch, and I'm going to break that down for you to make sure that you are well prepared for this 100% community airdrop. So without further ado, let's jump into it. And first and foremost, as always, be sure to drop down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more. Every single week here on In the Game, we have you covered from top to bottom, everything you need to know in the crypto market. So if you enjoy the content, like and subscribe down below. As well, a big shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game. We have some incredible sponsors from 𝗪𝗪𝗙𝗪, Everreach Labs, as well as our premier centralized exchange partners at 𝗪𝗪𝗹𝗀. And they are in the last week of their War of the Whales trading competition, $4 million up for grabs. If you need a reliable centralized exchange to be able to trade on, I would highly recommend to check out 𝗪𝗪𝗹𝗀 down below. There's sign-up bonuses. You can win a Cybertruck in this competition, a trip to the Grand Prix, and also every single month they are giving away luxury items such as Omega watches. So be sure to sign up for 𝗪𝗪𝗹𝗀 in the link down below in the description. Now let's go ahead and jump into it, as obviously the market is looking pretty good. I mean, we're just looking at the crypto market at this point, 109.2 on Bitcoin. We see Ethereum also up on the weekly. We look at the daily charts here on some certain coins. We see 𝗓𝗏𝗋 up 22%, Treasure in the gaming niche up 20%, and is up 50% on the weekly time frame. We see Star Atlas up 17% on the weekly. We see Prime bouncing on the daily. So pretty good activity, but really alts have not started moving despite some big moves in the altcoin and token market. And we're about to dive into that because I think this market is moving a little bit suspiciously. And of course, a lot of this is fueled behind people seeing Jamie Dimon selling shares, Jeff Bezos selling $600 million worth of Amazon shares. A lot of the time, people think that whenever this happens, it is leaning towards they know something, right? There's going to be some sort of a market dip, or they see a black swan on the way. And that could be a concern. And honestly, follow the money, right? That is a real thing. And when you see smart money selling, that could be an indicator. But at the end of the day, like, these guys have built mega conglomerate companies and they have the right to get rid of shares whenever they want to. So in my opinion, I don't think this is leaning towards being a black swan or anything like that. And if I'm wrong, you know, we had the proof right in front of us. But for me, the way that the crypto market is navigating, I think we're gearing up for one of the most parabolic timelines that we have seen potentially in crypto's history. And why I think this, first and foremost, we see the biggest trading company in the world. Now, of course, you could say Charles Schwab or BlackRock as a bigger trading company, but as far as retail is concerned, Robinhood led the 2020 bull market, 2021 bull market, and when I say 2020, I mean GameStop, AMC, and then Dogecoin, and then into the crypto markets. People use Robinhood. It's the easiest app for a normal person to onboard into, and the Robinhood CEO, they're all in on crypto. I don't know what ad you got before this video because, you know, YouTube gives you ads. The ones I've been seeing are, you know, tokenization ads from Robinhood and crypto and this and this. They are very much leaning into the crypto side. And their CEO says that tokenization, and he means of stocks, is the biggest innovation in the past decade. And by the way, if you didn't know, you can trade stocks on our app here at Nexus. We have tokenization of everything. You can buy spot, and you can also buy up to 100x leverage on assets such as the SPX, the USD CAD on Forex. You can buy Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, Apple, gold. So we have all these markets tradable on our platform, as well as crypto up to 40x leverage. So if you haven't already, check out Nexus down below as far as tokenization. However, there's more things than this that are leaning towards a very, very good push to the upside. We see on ERC20 stablecoins, the supply has hit an all-time high of $121 billion, a strong signal of renewed demand and utility or in liquidity. We also see SharpLink acquiring 7,000 more Ethereum at $19.2 million this past week. And they also raised $64.2 million to buy more Ethereum. They hold 205,000 Ethereum worth $529 million. And then when you look at the altcoin market, you wouldn't think that that's the case, which is why this market feels so suspicious to me. It does just feel like another stage, another timeline where these big companies like a BlackRock were buying Bitcoin. And BlackRock, by the way, has bought $100 million worth of Ethereum over the last couple of months, but you might have not even known that. And right whenever BlackRock had their hands fully entrenched into Bitcoin, Bitcoin absolutely rocketed, obviously where we are now from where we were in the ETF stages of approvals. Now we see Ethereum kind of just sitting in this middle ground, but smart money is accumulating hand over fist. And then of course, every cycle, we see Tether FUD, right? And now Tether, they're apparently holding $8 billion of gold stockpile in a secret Swiss vault. So we don't even have Tether FUD to knock us down. We see smart money accumulating not just Bitcoin, but other assets like Ethereum. And all the while this is happening, the retail interest in crypto, despite what we just saw here, so despite with the all-time high stablecoin supply, so they say demand and liquidity is back. I would say not. We look at the global search trends here on crypto, and we see Bitcoin literally at almost lows, like bear market lows as far as search interest, as far as, Google search trends here. We see crypto way lower than that. And then we see like something like an AI, which is this yellow line. AI search trends are just rising day over day. So for me, retail is not even close to being here, and we're looking at $109,000 Bitcoin. I think we are primed for a big move up here to finish out the summer and head into the late stages of Q3 and Q4. And to me, I'm just focusing on those top assets, the ones that I'm really, really dialed in on: Ethereum, Solana, Hyperliquid, 𝗬𝗎, Avalanche. Those are a core 5. But for me, the cheapest altcoin out there at this point in time, given what's going on in the market, and we just look back right at what we're seeing here on these search trends in the AI niche, AI just keeps climbing in search trends. And I think when crypto and Bitcoin search trends do start to go back up, we're going to see quality AI altcoins rocket at that point in time. We're seeing 𝗬 here, the #1 AI coin, sitting at 320, and it's really been sitting at 320 for quite some time. So for me, that has to be the #1 DCA in this market. But also, speaking of stablecoin supply, we see 𝗬𝗎, who has tripled their stablecoins on chain over the last few months. Momentum, which is coming to their chain as a DeFi protocol, has $130 million TVL. So for me today, the two top DCAs would have to be BitTensor and 𝗬𝗎. And of course, I love AVAX. You guys know that. We talk about AVAX quite some time, quite a lot for quite some time. But honestly, what I'm most prepping up for in this market, and the way I would do this, is plan for both ways. So we're seeing stuff like, Jeff Bezos selling stocks, but then we're seeing all this bullish accumulation, all the while that there's no interest in any of these categories. And also, I just want to throw in here crypto gaming. Let's see where crypto gaming is on this chart. Just absolutely flatlined. It is kind of, yeah, that's kind of interesting to see. So it could be a great time to be accumulating altcoins. But for me, I would at least keep a little bit of stable coins on the sides just in case we do see some sort of an event. Maybe the smart money is selling for a reason. We don't really know. But traditionally speaking, we are about to head into the most bullish time period of the 4-year cycle. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I would be highly allocated into your top projects and projects with strength. So you don't want to go find something like a Sandbox or something like that just hasn't moved for, ages upon time, right? You want to go find a coin, even AVAX, even though it's been flatlined a little bit and up and down, it was at $62 just a year ago. So at the end of the day, we know that there is activity and liquidity that is interested in Avalanche. But for me, Hyperliquid, 𝗬𝗎, Avalanche, 𝗬, I think that core 4 is going to carry you throughout this cycle. And of course, I think eventually Ethereum is going to start rocketing just like we saw Bitcoin, just because of the smart money that is accumulating. But as mentioned at the beginning of the video, honestly, the thing I'm most excited about right now in the market is something that I don't even have to put dollars into right now to get access to. And what I am alluding to is the upcoming black hole launch. Oh, I did want to cover this really quick, that Tau subnets, when I'm talking about Tau being my #1 play, it is by far one of the strongest AI networks in not only just crypto, but the AI industry. So this just furthers, the amount of production that's going on under the BitTensor network. But for me, the thing I'm looking forward to most in this market, bar none, is black hole. I think it's going to really ignite the DeFi niche. So whenever I'm looking across the board, you could play this one of two different ways. You can go look at top AI coins and you look at the valuations of these things. Stuff like AVE, obviously it's the 28th biggest coin in crypto, and over the weekly time frame, this thing is doing pretty well. We go look at stuff like 𝗕𝗟𝗙, which is a DeFi protocol over on the base chain. Well, that's where their token is tradable. You can see here, this one's actually trending up pretty well as well, up 17% on the weekly. So it's a great time for black hole to be going to market, and I wouldn't be surprised, and I'll go over what I think the price action will be in just a second. So the platform itself is going live on Friday, July 11th. So that's in 2 days. On the 11th, I will come through with you guys for a full-blown top to bottom tutorial, how to maximize your experience and gains while using the black hole protocol, because I think it's going to be one of the hottest protocol launches in quite some time for 3 reasons. One, Avalanche Foundation is officially backing this. So they're going to send a wave of users and attention to this platform, and it actually could end up being one of their biggest DeFi platforms on their chain, and maybe it competes with Trader Joe, who knows. The swap and just the decentralized exchange nature of Trader Joe, that might be undefeated. However, the yield bearing side of it, black hole could take that market. And of course, we see people like Elio and Becker, they have a very strong following that does like to ape liquidity. So there are people out there who, they don't really bring liquidity, but at the same time, we've seen with Neo Tokyo, we've seen with Superverse, we know that their audiences are ready to get involved with something degen like a yield-bearing DeFi platform. So we see here Friday, July 11th, this goes live. And just to kind of dive into the timeline here, you can see Black Hole Dex goes live on AVAX C-Chain on the 11th. And then on the 16th, so a week from today, next Wednesday, the Black Hole TGE will occur. And then the first epoch on the 17th, which means where rewards for Black Hole will start going out. You can see the token distribution. I think it's very healthy. Only 8% to the liquidity pool, 56% to the community, and 35% to voting incentives. We've seen like 30 projects, including high-level projects like Wilder World and Off the Grid, already come through and say they will be on Black Hole's platform. So if you want exposure to this, there's many ways to do it. I have exposure personally through Superverse staking, and you can still go stake. And they're opening up the site here in just a couple days where you can check your allocation. Obviously on the 11th, when this goes live, go to your profile and go to my claims, I believe is what Elio mentioned. And then you can check out how many Black Hole tokens you have qualified for. For me, I have getting exposure through Superverse staking, which we've told you guys for quite some time. We have Neo Tokyo. I hold S1 and S2, so I'm going to get allocation there. I have Super Champ staked just from whenever the TGE happened. And then I also have exposure to pools and voting on LFJ. So I think I've lined myself up for a pretty good airdrop here. And I think they're giving it out to over 10 platforms and protocols. If we just go look here really quick, we could scroll forward. Yeah, here we go. So imposters, super champs, you could see they're giving out to Aerodrome, Thena, Kyberswap, Curve, Beefy, Neo Tokyo. So there's lots of communities getting allocation into this. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if whenever this airdrop goes out, the token dumps. Like, we've seen it time and time again. I could pull up any chart that had an airdrop. People sell. Like, people are here to farm, they're here to get free tokens, and then they're here to dip and take profit. But I do think over the long haul, and especially if the TVL on Black Hole is solid, it's going to be very good for both Black Hole and Super, considering the fact that Black Hole will be a revenue-bearing platform. Becker and Elio, the team, they will not make money off of the token. They will make money off of the actual success of the platform, which kind of goes back to yesterday's video where I said I wish gaming teams would focus on that type of model. So I love that. And it's a team that is experienced in bringing in liquidity and attention. So that's a big pro. And then 10% of the fees generated on Black Hole are going to a buyback on Super. And that is the hyperliquid model. So very bullish for both the future of Black Hole and Superverse. So if you get an airdrop, you have to make the decision. If that amount of money is good enough for you, sell. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do think after the initial sell pressure, we're going to see a pretty solid chart moving forward from the Black Hole token. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's how I've prepared for it. And if I'm last minute right now, I'd go buy a bag of Super and I would go stake it on Superverse's official website. And then obviously, I'm looking at other opportunities. We have some pre-sales coming up. We have Pump.fun. I will not be participating in this one. I think that this is absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's an exit scheme by the team instead of selling the Pump.fun business. And as Pump.fun analytics and search volume has declined, I think it's just a way for them to exit scam. So I'm not participating in that. One that has interest me here, however, is the upcoming pre-sale, and it's ongoing actually, for Earned Network. And this goes right back to Black Hole. It's a DeFi protocol, but it's an API. So it's something people can plug into and offer yield on over 11 chains via one network, and that is through Earned. Their team is from top chains in the past that have managed over 250 million in TVL, and this one catches my eye. Obviously, the pre-sale is at 10 cents, and their goal launch price is 20 cents. That is not a guarantee, and I definitely wouldn't take that as word for bond because we just know how the space goes, but it could be a pretty good proposition. The minimum is literally $1. You could throw 50, you could throw 100, and just see what happens. I have contributed to this pre-sale, so I have exposure to this, but this is one that has caught my eye, and the estimated distribution for this is in 3 weeks, and the pre-sale here ends in 6 days and 3 hours. So this is one that I have participated in. There is KYC on this, I do believe, so you'll want to check that out. But as you can see here, 30 plus blockchains, 400 protocols, 50 plus bridges, and for me, like as an application like Nexus, we don't have DeFi or TVL on our platform. So this solution has actually really interested us because it's something we could actually use, which is also why I've allocated into it. I think we can plug this into our own application at Nexus. So this is an opportunity that did catch my eye and I have participated in. So guys, like the video. If you enjoy the content on the channel, I'll leave links below for Blowfin, Nexus, if you want to get started there, start trading, start tracking your portfolio. We have one of the industry leading portfolio trackers on chain, as well as the Earned Network pre-sale. And of course, leave your comments down below on the market, because I think we're gearing up for a big move. The way that big institutions are now accumulating Ethereum, it gives me a lot of promise for altcoins. And just looking at this chart right here, retail is not even close to being here. So if you're here, you know, you hate to say this, but you're early, especially as far as the masses. And once we see these search interest charts and these YouTube views go up, that's the time where you need to start thinking about your exit strategy. So guys, I'll see y'all on the next one. As always, play well, my friends. And of course, stay bullish, my friends.